Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we are sitting near the butt rock. But I'm not actually on the butt rock because I tried to turn the camera around because the sun is almost directly overhead. And the way it shines down on me when I'm sitting on the butt rock, usually my face is completely in shadow, and now like half of my face is in shadow. I know it's not ideal, but I'm trying to turn the camera so you can sort of see me anyway. Not perfect studio lighting, obviously. We have many stuff and things to talk about, though, on this Sunday Stuff and Things, including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and working. We're going to talk about the summer resurgence that we've been having here in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to talk about, or I'm going to show you my little quest to find some baby Dungeness crabs here at the beach. Something that I used to do a lot as a child, and it was kind of fun to delve into that again. But then we're going to talk about how many pipes do I have a day or a week? People used to ask me this question all the time, and people still ask me this question, but that has changed. It has shifted/changed in the last few months. So we'll have a little bit of update on that. And then of course we'll have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag #AskStuffandThings. So let's get into it. All right, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things and working? Well, if you haven't watched this video yet, you definitely should. I posted the 6-month update for my Nix Pullman's custom engineer boots. I received them about 6 months ago. They are beautiful, the pinnacle of modern, well, actually old style American boot making. They are fantastic, absolutely beautiful boots, and I posted a 6-month update last week on Stuff and Things, so check that out. The video for this week will be the Sutliff The Old Boss review, kind of a first impression/review. That's coming up this Wednesday. Then we're going to do how to do Stuff and Things, clean and condition very filthy, dirty leather work boots. My other pair of Nix boots, my urban loggers that I've been using for work. I do concrete work, my real job, the job that actually makes money, some money. I wear those boots. They are Nix urban loggers. They are beautiful boots, and I've been wearing them for a year in a very rough, very rugged profession. And so they get very dirty. So I show you a video about how I clean and condition those boots, and also kind of, it's sort of seasonal because this was my clean and condition for when we're going to get into the rainier season, when things are going to start getting wetter and muddier. So I do a different kind of conditioning for those situations. Then we are going to have the I'm Not Going to Like Seattle Pipe Club Hogshead Bourbon Barrel Aged. An interesting video. I reviewed the original bourbon barrel, or not bourbon barrel aged, I reviewed the original Hogshead almost exactly 2 years ago. And I was kind of meh about that blend. So now that is that blend that I was already sort of ambivalent about with the addition of the bourbon barrel aging, so a little bit of an alcohol flavor to that. It seems like something that I probably wouldn't like, but stay tuned for that video and you will find out. And then working episode 35 posted last week. You should definitely check that out. If you are of a mind, you will see some beautiful scenery in the Pacific Northwest as we head out to Lummi Island to pour a stem wall, some foundation walls, and just see how things could go very wrong, but maybe they'll go very right. If everything aligns, if all the stars align and everything works out perfectly, sometimes my days go very smoothly. And of course, when I'm pouring out on an island, there are so many more chances for things to go wrong. But check that video out on working. There is a link to all of these things in the description box below. To my working channel, to my photography-based Instagram. You should definitely check that out if you haven't. Patreon, everything is in the description box below, so check that out. So as you can see, I am hanging out on a sunny beach in Bellingham, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest. There's a nice breeze going. It's about, I don't know, 76, 77, 78 degrees right now. And it would appear that summer is still in full swing, but we had about 2 weeks of kind of low 60s, high 50s, low 60s, and some rain going on, and I was pretty much convinced that summer was over. But I always forget, and this pretty much always happens, that we do have some really beautiful early September, late August, early September days. We have that Indian summer in full effect in the Pacific Northwest almost every year. And it's been interesting though, because this summer has been pretty much the prototypical perfect Pacific Northwest summer, at least for Bellingham, Washington, where it was beautiful, it was sunny, it was in the low to mid 70s pretty much every single day. It hardly rained at all. It never got super hot. It never got cold. That's what people don't understand about the Pacific Northwest, about northwestern Washington, is they think of it as raining all the time, and it does rain a lot in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. But our summers are beautiful. We have had some crazy heat waves occasionally. We've gotten into, we had a few years ago where it was over 100 degrees for about a week. That is very rare. Typically, it's about 72, 74 degrees, sunny, and beautiful. That's why I love this place. Yes, you put up with a lot of drizzly, gray days for about 9 months of the year, but the summers are absolutely amazing. My little brother and his family just moved back to Houston, and they're dealing with the 90s and the 100s and a lot of humidity, and it makes me feel very lucky to live in a place like this. But yeah, the summer's back for about a week or two, it seems like, and I'm going to enjoy the last few days. It is getting a little cooler in the mornings now. When I get up, I have to put my sweatshirt on when I go to work, but then by midday, nice and warm and just fantastic. I love it here. So as you know, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. And one of my main activities as a child when I would go to the beach, because there aren't sandy beaches, at least nowhere around here. Everything is very rocky. But one of the things I loved doing as a kid was turning over rocks when the tide was out, turning over rocks and finding little baby Dungeness crabs. So Dungeness crabs are native to the west coast of the United States. I don't know if maybe they're across the Pacific Ocean as well. I'm not sure, but from basically British Columbia and Canada down to Northern California, you will find Dungeness crabs. And they are, in my mind, the tastiest crabs of all. They get about that big, full-grown adults. They're reddish in color. They have a more delicate, lighter flavor compared to other crabs that I've had. I don't really like other crabs that much, but I love Dungeness. And here there are just thousands and thousands of them. So any rock you turn over, if the tide's gone out, you will find a bunch of little crabs scurrying. So I decided I would recreate one of my favorite activities that I had as a youth and look for some little baby crabs. So here you go.
All right, the tide is out a bit. We should be able to find some little baby Dungeness crabs. In fact, I think I just saw one skittering around over here. Crabbies. Crabby boys. All right, so when you turn these rocks over, you want to try not to crush anything that might be under the rock. So just be careful. Crabbies. Okay, lots of crabs. Hey guys. Oh, there's somebody moving under here. Hello. So these are baby Dungeness crabs. Dungeness crabs are the best tasting crabs of all the crabs. But not these ones. These are too small, obviously. They're just little babies. Come here, buddy. They're just so quick to get under shelter. They won't try to pinch you or anything. Hey, buddy. Well, actually, sometimes they do when they get a little bigger. If you guys have never had Dungeness crabs, they are so good. I don't really like crabs, but I like Dungeness crab. And they're a West Coast thing, West Coast of the US. Pretty much from British Columbia down to, I think, like Northern California on the West Coast. So pretty much any rock you turn over, you're gonna find little baby Dungeness. And they're hilarious. As a kid, I was probably a little bit more of a creep because I would pick them up and run around with them, and I try not to do that now. I mean, I'm kind of annoying them already by taking these rocks off. Get your rocks off. Hey! Howdy. I want to pick one up, but I don't know if I should. So yeah, this is what I did anytime I came to the beach as a kid. Because as you can see, in the Pacific Northwest, at least where I live in northwestern Washington, there is no beach. It's all rocks. There's no sand. Sand is just, I think you'd have to go to kind of Long Beach in Washington. This is the bay. You know, this is the San Juans, like it's the Puget Sound. It's not open ocean, it's sheltered water, and none of this water, it's kind of like fjords and stuff in Scandinavia. So it's all just rocks. A lot of the shoreline is actually kind of, there aren't even really any tidal flats or anything like that. It's just sheer cliffs into the side of the water. So there's no beach. You don't really just like come out and lay on the beach and hang out. And the water's freaking freezing anyway, even when it's the middle of the summer. So you run around and you look for crabs. We used to look for starfish. We had a big starfish die out several years back though. They're starting to slowly come back, but there used to be just millions of them. And now there are very few. Hello. But they're coming back when they wave their little claws around. So yeah, when the tide comes up, all this will be underwater. You can see the tide comes up almost to those rocks there. But these guys just chill out when the tide is low, and occasionally get annoyed when someone like me comes along. Ooh, that's a big guy. Well, I mean, he's still a small guy, but a big guy for a small guy. Hello. Crabby. Whoa. Yeah, all right. I don't know how closely this camera will focus. There you go. Little baby Dungeness. Hey, that's my foot. It's not a rock. Fun stuff. They're funny little guys. So, I get this question a lot. Pretty much from when I first started this channel to now, at least a few times a month, someone will ask me, how many pipes do I have a day? And I think a lot of people like to compare their intake to other people's to see, like, am I indulging too much? What is normal? Doesn't really matter. I've often said that one of the best things about the pipe hobby is that typically if you are just indulging, you know, maybe a couple pipes a day, you don't have that need, that physical dependency that you could have if you are using cigarettes or things like that. So you could take it or leave it. Maybe you could go a whole week without it. It's fine. Maybe you could have a few in a day. It's fine. I used to have about 2 or 3 pipes a day. But ever since I had a major life change about 5 months ago, or about 6 months ago now, that has dropped precipitously. And now I am about 3 pipes a week, if that. And I didn't even realize that was happening. Part of it has to do with the fact that there is just nowhere at all now where I can indulge in a pipe indoors. That just doesn't exist. And I would still enjoy one, you know, in my vehicle before work and things like that. And I still do, but I will stretch that out over multiple days, like 1 pipe. And so now I was just thinking about this. It hadn't occurred to me, but I realized that, yeah, I'm only having maybe about 3 pipes a week. Maybe 4 some weeks, maybe 5 some weeks, but typically around 3. And it's fine. Like, it's not like I'm sitting around like, oh, I need a pipe. And I love that. It's fantastic that I can enjoy this hobby, and I still really, really enjoy it when I do have one of those pipes, but I don't need it. And I think so many of you are similar in that respect. I'd be curious to hear in the comments below if, you know, you've gone through periods where you've had far more or far fewer than you would typically have, and what kind of, how that change was for you, how you adapted to that. To me, I didn't even really know it was happening. I mean, obviously, if I thought about it, I'd realize that, well, yes, I'm definitely having far fewer than I was. But yeah, it's been totally fine. So I'm about 3 pipes a week. Where are you? How many do you have a week? Let me know. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings.
You can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. Speaking of the super thanks, our good friend Scott M at Shock and Awe had some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuffin' Things. Scotty says, Bradley, I like the limited run reviews, mostly for content. Secondly, most of these Sutliff specific blends rarely sell out quickly, so there's a good chance of still finding a blend you review. The one thing that separates you is your personal taste. I watch many reviewers, and rare are the Virginia Perique type reviewers. I'd call you an expert in that department and would take your advice above most for what it's worth. I get you not being an influencer, etc. Just my 2 cents. Thank you, Scott M. I guess if I were an expert on a particular kind of blend, and what does that even mean necessarily, but I know what you mean, is I love Virginia Perique blends. Those are my favorite blends. And I definitely have strong opinions about how I like those blends to taste. So if you want to think of me as the Virginia Perique expert, I won't argue with you. I'm sure there are other people who could maybe claim that title as well. But yeah, I love a good straight Virginia or a Virginia Perique blend, and I definitely have strong opinions about those blends. And thank you so much for the super thanks. Next, we have at Ledger and Lace from Hallie. I'm just going to join in the bod bots and say how appealing your content is and add some emojis for the algorithm gods. Also, nice rant. So thank you for the comment. It is weird. Whenever I post a video, the first 4 or 5 comments will be from the profile picture for the person. I mean, I'm assuming it's a bot who leaves the comment is usually some scantily clad woman. But then the comment is usually really innocuous. It's just like, oh, I love your take on the world, or just something completely innocuous and weird. It's spam, it's from a bot, but I don't understand what they're trying to do. I try to get on there and just delete those because, you know, they're not from a real person and I don't understand what the purpose is of them, but I try to get rid of them. I just don't understand what they want. Like, what are they trying to accomplish by leaving these weird bot comments? I don't know. Next, we have at BannockBurn111. I have, on occasion, corrected people when I'm confident and know the topic, and will look at sources to verify I'm correct before I post. So I was talking about last week, people who correct you even though they are wrong. So you make a statement, you declare some sort of fact, and then they correct you on that fact even though their correction is incorrect. And I was saying that I would want to be very sure about myself before I tried to correct somebody. I do it because I think of people being given bad information and I don't want it passed on. It's rare though. Most of the time I just let it go these days. I think I'm just getting a bit more mellow as I age. Yeah, I don't jump to try to correct people most of the time either, unless it's something important. If it's something involving my work and we're in the middle of something and something's going wrong, I'm like, okay, well that's not the way you do it. You have to do it this way. Somebody on the internet expressing an opinion doesn't really matter to me. At Meander and Oranges, I share your cement frustration. One of my beefs is calling mixer trucks cement trucks. So that was the basis of my rant, is that I was talking about pouring concrete, and someone said, no, you're not pouring concrete, you're pouring cement. And I was like, well, no, because cement is the powder, the binder within concrete. Concrete is cement mixed with an aggregate and sand and water and all these other things. But I see what you're saying, Meander and Oranges. I don't really care if people say cement. Sometimes that's just a colloquial way of referring to concrete. People will say cement mixture. People will say cement finisher. That's fine to me. The only time it bothers me is if I say concrete and somebody says, no, you're wrong, it's cement. I'm like, well, no. Technically, what I'm pouring is concrete. So I don't care if people refer to it as cement, but just don't try to tell me that I'm wrong to say concrete. Next, we have at John Galdieri. I remember you talking about Ray Davis from the Kinks, and I, being a big Kinks fan, didn't know it was pronounced Davis, not Davies. So Ray Davis is spelled D-A-V-I-E-S, famous lead singer, lead songwriter from the Kinks. And I corrected you. When we try to correct others to make ourselves feel smarter and we are wrong, we only feel dumber. Northern New Jersey loves you, and cement, but not concrete. Thanks, John. And that's a great example because it's also a really important thing to bear in mind that not everyone... I didn't know that Ray Davis was pronounced Davis until I was probably like in my mid-20s. So through most of my high school years when I was listening to the Kinks, I thought it was Davies. And then I did finally find out that it was pronounced Davis, or at least people in the UK say Davis. So I'm not going to be mad at somebody for thinking it's Davies, because I thought it was Davies for a long time as well. It's like Rickenbacker. I always thought that was Rickenbacker until I was in my 20s as well. And I still say Rickenbacker sometimes. I know now that it's supposed to be pronounced Backer, but I'm not going to get mad at somebody for saying Bacher when it's actually Backer, or Davies when it's actually Davis, because I have not always known that. People are at different stages of when they learn things. Next, at Juxtaposer Executioner. I think if you have the barrels, you should use them. So I was talking about being kind of tired of all these barrel-aged versions of blends. And yeah, I guess if you're just going to chop the barrels up and burn them or something, you might as well throw some tea blends in there. At R. Benning 242, while I don't have any of this particular hogshead at the moment, I do enjoy your tea reviews and find myself checking them, and tea reviews whenever I do get a blend I've never had. I also like to see if I get the same nuances you mentioned as my palate improves. It's safe to say for me, I like all of the tea content, even for the blends I don't care for. Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you, R. Benning. And yeah, it is cool just to have, I guess, a reference for posterity. Even if someone doesn't get a blend, maybe they'll find a tin somewhere, ferret it away, and they're like, oh, this blend. Let me look online, let me look on YouTube and see if anyone has talked about this blend, and maybe they'll find one of my videos. Now, we have some feedback from the Nix Pullman's 6 month later video that I posted. Not a lot, because not a lot of people watch that video. You need to check that video out. We have one from @SlavaT. Great review. Looks good. How does the heel feel? Does it slide a lot? The heel pocket looks straight and not broken. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot to mention that. When I got those boots, typically with Nix boots, they say you should have a half size smaller than your Brannock size. But with the pull-on boots, like the Pullmans, they recommended a full size. So I'm typically a 10.5D, but they said I should get a 9.5D. They felt pretty close fitting when I got them. And there's always going to be a little bit of heel slip with the pull-on boot, like a cowboy boot or an engineer boot like this. But as they've broken in, they still feel close fitting and supportive. They hardly heel slip at all. And now I can get them in and off and on fairly easily as well. So I think the sizing was absolutely perfect and spot on with them. And yeah, the heel slip is like almost nothing. Really fantastic fit. Next, from @Joshua Ricks 7882, very nice boots. I'm loving my Urban Loggers, fantastic boots, and MTO boots in black wax flesh. Nix has phenomenal quality and craftsmanship. Yes, they do. And finally, at Bannockburn 111 again, those are some gorgeous boots, indeed. And yes, if you haven't watched that video, check it out. The boots are... I know not everyone will be inspired by the beauty of a pair of handmade leather boots like I am, but they are exquisite pieces of workmanship. They smell amazing. I wish you could smell them. They look amazing. They feel amazing. Just holding them in your hand, they're so heavy and just quality, dense, like just beautiful. Beautiful boots. Absolutely fantastic. Gang, thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. I love hearing from you. I like getting your opinions on things, just all the feedback you have for all the videos that I post. So please keep that coming in. But now it is time for the very best part of the show. And that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this video. It helps make it possible for me to keep making these videos and to keep doing these channels. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to have a full-time job and do YouTube on the side, 2 YouTube channels, by the way, on the side. And it just wouldn't really be possible for me to do it unless I had people supporting me on Patreon. You also get access to the Stuff and Things videos early and ad-free if you are a supporter on Patreon. And it just really is super appreciated. So please check that link out below if you are of a mind. But every week we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Glenn Dunnington, Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, Kyle Waitkunas, ConCoClem, Charles Mowers, and the Friendly Piper. And of course, the crazy people, the Maniacs, who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Bob Magee and Ryan McFadin. I just had a wonderful conversation with Ryan a couple weeks ago, or last week actually. So that's one of the perks of the Maniac tier, is that you get to talk to me every 3 months on video chat. And then of course, we will never forget our Hall of Fame member and dearly departed friend, Peter Straub. Gang, it is a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. And after I go home and edit these videos and get all the thumbnails done and get them all ready to post and all that good stuff, I'm gonna try to go out and take some pictures, get some coffee, walk around, and enjoy the beautiful weather while it lasts. But please, check out all the videos that are coming up on Stuff and Things and Working. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please, share if you wish with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out Working in that description box below for sure. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. Man, I'm totally in shadow right now. I'll see you later. And my butt feels fine because I wasn't sitting on the butt rock.